There's this Japanese phrase called harahachibu. It means to eat until you're 80% full. And I've got some beef with this phrase because I love all-you-can-eat sushi. One of the greatest joys in this life for me is eating 55 pieces of sushi in 12 minutes. It's just beautiful, man. I don't know how to describe it, okay? But I want to apply by this rule, right? And at the same time, I want to also take time to fast every couple months, okay? So this age-old wisdom that applies to the harahachibu, eat until you're 80% full, applies, in my mind, 95% of the time, right? I've got a new rule that I call the 5-95, right? So 5% of the time, be on the extremes, right? The other 95% of the time, be in the middle, the 80% full rule, right? And this applies for more than just eating. And so let's go through this, right? We'll talk about eating first, and then we'll apply this metaphor to consuming knowledge, your work, and everything in life, right? Because everything is related. Everything is connected, right? And when you see that, you see things in life that most never will get the chance to see. So let's dive into this. The 5% of the time you want to be on the extremes, right? And the other 95% of the time you want to be in the middle. Why is it a good idea to eat until you're 80% full? Because most of the time, your stomach will allow you to eat a little bit more than is what you would need, right? So then most of the time, you eat just a little bit too much. And over time, eating just a little bit too much leads to you putting on just a little bit of weight. And slowly, you get this very small bad habit that changes who you are, literally. It changes your shape, your body, you. And so in order to combat that, you have to implement this rule, right? Most likely, if you're 80% the way full, you're actually full. Your body just isn't telling you that yet. You know, the brain hasn't caught up with the stomach. And so then when you give yourself the rest, you realize, that was good. I feel satiated. I feel confident. I can go into the day and still be maybe a little bit hungry, but that little bit of hungriness kind of propels me forward, right? Now, you want to balance this because some days, you want to eat all you can eat sushi. You want to go all in, right? And other days, you want to pull back and you want to just, avoid it entirely. In the mornings, some days when I have a lot of work, I won't eat, right? And I'll go probably until like 3 or 4 in the afternoon and my body's screaming at me. But you never will experience more laser focus than when you are a little bit hungry or when you don't eat for several hours. If you starve yourself or, prevent yourself from eating for, the entire day, right? You're just locked in. People who are on ketosis, which is where you eat, you get your body in a state of burning fat. Most of that is by lowering your calorie intake and eating a heavy fat diet. The people who are on that experience this as well because their body is, it's like this biochemical thing that we've developed to be able to hunt food. When we're hungry, when we're burning fat, when we're in need of food, we get super dialed in because that's the thing that helps us survive, right? So that's a little bit of a hack. But you want to use all 3 of those things in your life. Most of the time, you want to eat until you're 80% full. That way you stay lean, stay clean, and keep moving forward, right? The other 5% of the time, you want to be on the extremes, and this year it's a little bit more. I'm running a marathon in all 50 states this year in 2024. At least I'm going to attempt to do that. And I'm going to be eating all-you-can-eat sushi every single week because I'm going to be demanding all these calories to be able to run all these miles from my body. So I need to replenish that. So this year, I get to enjoy the joys of all-you-can-eat sushi several times. It'll be awesome, right? But then there will be a time when, I start putting on that dad weight and I have to slowly start cutting back on it. And, life is full of balance, right? Okay, so then how does this apply to life? So usually when you're reading a book, right, for whatever reason, you clear the time in your schedule, you have some time that day, you decide you just want to go all in, right? You want to read half the book. You want to finish it, just all in one full swoop. And that's good if you want to get done with a book that you've been holding on to for a long time. But it's also kind of bad because it gets you in this habit of, I'll just, whenever I have time to get to this book, I'll just go all in and just finish it, right? And so then, one day you'll finish a book and then you're like, well, I can take a couple days off. I can take a week, a month. And then, 3 months later, you realize, holy cow, I haven't read a book in forever. This applies to my life right now because other things get in the way. Time will be filled with something. we don't just pause our day. There will be something else that will pop up. So unless you make it a priority to do the things that you want to do on a daily basis, you won't get to them, right? So some days, sometimes, if you're in a slump, a reading slump, and you don't want to read, then fast a little bit. Don't read, right, for a day or two. Other days, if you're in that voracious mood, maybe you have a book that's, you already started another one, but you want to finish this one, right? Then finish that book, go on ahead. Do the all-you-can-eat sushi with the book, you see what I mean? But most of the time, you want to be in this habit of spending a consistent amount of time every single day reading books, right? And for this example, and this applies to everything else, because our habits make up our daily actions. Our daily actions make up our habits make up who we are, right? In a way. So then, in the same way that eating till you're 80% full allows you to still be a little bit hungry, so that you'll come back tomorrow for food, you come back a little bit later for food, whatever it is. In the day-to-day life, the things that you do, you want to be a little bit hungry, right? You want to do it enough to where you're interested to read the book again tomorrow, but not fully satiated to where you've read an entire book, you can take a week off. Because usually when you go all in, you get out of these good habits. You let time slip, and you realize that you're the one who allowed yourself to get to that position. What seemed to be a good thing, that you were reading a lot on one day, actually turned out to be a bad thing because it prevented you or caused you to not read as much the following days. Okay, so then where else does this apply in life? With work, right? I even think that it's, I would consider it like seasons. So in certain seasons, it's necessary that you are obsessed with what you're doing, right? The only thing you think about is the work that's in front of you. And if you are the type of person that can get obsessed, you're in a great position to be able to run a company or whatever it is, because usually these things, to develop a product, start a company, start a YouTube channel, they require a lot of time up front, and then over time they just require maintenance, right? And it's really easy to do maintenance. The hard part is making the obsession an opportunity or available in your day-to-day schedule, right? Along with being obsessed, though, you have to remember that you can't lose track of your maintenance of your life, right? A lot of people, like psychologists, will say that people don't go crazy. They just lose track of the complexity of their life. And then they let a couple things slip, a few parking tickets that start adding up, and eventually they're in debt over here, credit card debt, they're late on their mortgage, and they default. And, it's not something that happens overnight. It's several things that happen all at once, right? That cause people to go crazy or to have a terrible thing happen in their life. So let me get back to what I was just saying, though. Work, obsession. You want to have time for the maintenance items. So that's where you have a list. It's like, okay, everything on these 25 things or these 5 things, whatever it is that I have to do every single day. Brush my teeth, shower, whatever it is, and then read the book, doing 100 push-ups, stretching, whatever the daily maintenance items are that you want to put on your list for who you are, right? Staying in the know on politics, on this article, keeping in contact with all my friends from high school or my friends and family just in general, right? These items on the list all together take 2 hours every single day. So I know I have to commit those 2 hours, and that's locked in from 6 to 8 p.m., whatever it is, right? But outside of that, you're allowed to use that time to be obsessed. So then even on the days where you are doing all-you-can-eat sushi, don't eat any food to start off the day. That way you can be obsessed in this one portion, and then you see what I mean? Like, it's all about knowing when to be obsessed versus most of the time being on top of everything, right? So that's my all-you-can-eat sushi metaphor. I kind of want to make a book about sushi, but I have to make the donut theory first. I think after that I'll make a book on sales or something along the lines of business for sushi. I think it would go great. So look out for that in the future. And this metaphor will be more developed at that point in time. But until then, I'll continue to eat my all-you-can-eat sushi. And most of the days, I will be within that 80% rule, right? Take on the $5.95, Your life will change. Why not us?